because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
Hey, that's one thing I really love about Trump. This guy is so unserious, bro. What it is, what it ain't, it's your boy Carlton with another video for anything, everything, where I talk about anything I want and everything that comes to my mind. And today is part 2 of the presidential debate. I know this has been like, what, a few days now, like 4 days? How many days it's been? Oh, 3 days. For you guys watching now, 2 more days is my birthday, so y'all can comment and tell me an early happy birthday or a late happy birthday. It'll be well appreciated. Nonetheless, let's jump into the second part of this, not the second part because there's a lot more to go, but let's jump into this debate and see what else they got to say.
I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat.
Hey, that's one thing I really love about Trump. This guy is so unserious, bro. And he's not lying. When she rolled out with her first policy, the first thing she come out with is no tax on tips, which was Trump already said that. And then if you guys notice, she's constantly flipping, and it's like none of her supporters want to acknowledge this. When they asked her about fracking, she was against fracking. Now she's for fracking. When they asked her about a nationwide assault ban and picking up buyback program, now she's like, oh, I got a gun. Walt's got a gun. Like, let's be for real.
She's gone to my philosophy, but if she ever got elected, she'd change it, and it will be the end of our country. She's a Marxist. Everybody knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you've often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't trust you on the issue of abortion because you've changed your position so many times. Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month.
Oh my gosh, listen. It's like both of them just keep doing this. I wanted him to address the fact why he first said that the 6-week was too short. Now he's saying that, you know, this 6-week is okay and he'll vote for it. And the first thing he want to do is talking about what they doing. We worry about you right now, bro. We want to know what you think.
They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, is doing an excellent job, but the governor before, he said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into.
Okay, so his answer to voting for the 6-week ban is because they're radical. That's basically what his answer was. And I don't think that goes more into his personal convictions to answer the question as to him just saying, well, they're radical, so I'll just, do a 6-week ban. That's not adding up to me, Mr. President.
The states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices, we were able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But
okay, let's go for
had
it.
great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Now,
That's not what he said. He said that there was a governor in West Virginia that was saying, okay, after the baby is born, we'll see what we'll do with it. And to give a little bit of context, I guess this is, I can't remember, but I guess this is a baby that's dealing with deformities or whatever the case may be. But Trump was not saying that they're looking to pass a law. He was just saying, not pass a law, but he's saying that there was a governor that was essentially imposing the idea. That's it.
Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade.
That's not how it works. We know when Kamala lies, you guys won't fact check. You guys will get in your emotions. Here's the underlying fact. The Supreme Court can only do things based on the Constitution. The reason Roe v. Wade was overturned isn't because that he intentionally did it. It's because that Roe v. Wade is unconstitutional. There's nowhere in the Constitution that's saying that the federal government has a right to have a federal abortion laws, which is why they give it back to the states. That's the simple truth.
And they did.
And lastly, they are trying to handpick, select Supreme Court justices as well. So the same way Trump had the right to put people in place that aligned with him or was part of his party or whatever the case may be, Democrats will do the same thing. So let's not do that.
Exactly as he intended. And now in over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans, which make it criminal for a doctor or nurse to provide health care. In one state, it provides prison for life. Trump abortion bans that make no exception even for rape and incest, which understand...
Stop calling it a Trump abortion ban as if it's only Trump that don't like abortion. This is the problem that I have with Democrats. These people want to radicalize abortion so much, and they keep talking about reproductive rights. It's not a reproductive right to kill another human being. That's not a reproductive right. They're using word salad to make things seem that it's not how it is.
That means a survivor of a crime of violation to their body does not have the right to make a decision about...
Another lie. Trump already says he's there for the exceptions, rape, incest.
What happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon.
You hear that? Immoral. I've been telling people this all the time. I'm sorry for keep pausing the video, but Democrats do this thing where they place themselves as moral superiorities. So the reason why a lot of black people support the Democrats is because the Democrats has done an amazing job to say Democrat equal good, nice, loving, even though their policies is completely the opposite. But they've been able to paint a picture that puts themselves on moral high ground to say, look, that Republican is racist, that person hates LGBT, that person is, they're full of hate, they're full of hatred, da, da, da. So they continue to demonize the other side and not really talk about their policies. You realize Democrats don't talk about Republican policies, they talk about Republicans. They demonize Republicans, which is now why they've been able to paint a picture to present to you and not talk about what this person is trying to do, but who this person is. Pay attention.
Their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country. You want to talk about this is what people wanted? Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that. A 12 or 13-year-old survivor of incest being forced to carry a pregnancy to term. They don't want that. And I pledge to you, when Congress passes a bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade, as President of the United States, I will proudly sign it into law.
Another lie. She can't do that. Anything that goes against the Constitution will not be enforced. So it doesn't matter if they try to present the legislation. It doesn't matter if she signs it. It can't happen. The only reason it was overturned in the first place is because it's unconstitutional. Again, playing the heartstrings, playing based on emotions. Lord have mercy.
But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages. I think the American people believe that certain freedoms, in particular the freedom to make decisions about one's own body, should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban.
So hold up. They was about to ask another question, but they were not going to fact check her. When literally in the beginning of the debate, he said that he has nothing to do with Project 2025. And let's use our thinking caps. Nobody has the power to do a national abortion ban. If he's been continuously saying that he's going to leave it in the states of the hands, the only people that can do a national abortion ban is the people that's trying to have the government control it, which is the Democrats. The Democrats is the one that's trying to federalize abortion, not the Republicans. They're trying to leave it in the states' hands. So how will he do a national abortion ban? But they were not going to fact check her. Lord have mercy. And now obviously he's about to present the lie.
And there's no reason to sign a ban because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states. And the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart. And they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea, and how unfair that would have been. Part of the reason they lost to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free, but they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D., and I don't mind if he has a certain view, but I think he was speaking for me, but I really didn't. Look, we don't have to discuss it because she'd never be able to get it, just like she couldn't get student loans. They couldn't get student.
Again, to double down, if they present the legislation, the president sign it, Supreme Court is going to ban it. That's it. They're not going to be able to pass it. And I'm sorry for the emotional Democrats that don't know how government work, that don't know how economy work. I'm telling you now, look at me. If abortion is signed into legislation, giving it back into the hands of the government, Kamala will sign it and the Supreme Court will block it. Kamala can't do nothing when it comes to abortion. They're just saying lies to get you to vote for them. The same way it happened with the student loans. I know you guys are a little slow, but guess what? This whole women's right thing is a whole bunch of baloney. Reproductive rights baloney.
With a baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know it's an issue that's important to Republicans, Democrats, voters across the board in this country. Vice President Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until 6 months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the
Before she says anything, let's see if she answers the question, because she hasn't answered a question yet. We're 30 minutes into this debate, and she has not answered a direct question yet. The question is, why did you guys wait to impose tougher asylum restriction laws 6 months before the election? Right? Between the Biden administration, they had record-breaking illegal crossings. So let's see if she answers the question.
the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime, trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and said, kill the bill. And you know why? Because he'd prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And understand, this comes at a time where the people of
Lie. Oh my God. This girl hates to see a question coming her way. 1, she didn't answer the question. 2, how she know Trump got on the phone to have him kill the bill? Let's do some research on that, because we're not going to be ignorant. We're going to pause the video. I'll come right back and let's see. This girl loves to lie straight through her teeth. So guys, I paused the video to look up the bill, and come to find out, this immigration bill that they try to pass, in part of the bill, they put together aid sending out to Ukraine and Israel. And that's why the bill was blocked. It had nothing to do with Trump. It's because the Republicans knew that they try to pull a fast one. And they say it doesn't matter that we're blocking this bill, because if the Republicans get back into office, we know for a fact they're going to handle the border crisis. So instead of you guys trying to pull a fast one and try to send more aid to Ukraine, we're going to block this here, and we're going to make sure we handle the border on our own side. These people lie. That's all they're good for.
our country actually need a leader who engages in solutions, who actually addresses the problems at hand. But what we have in the former president is someone who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. And I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. As far as rallies are concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase, make America great again. She's destroying this country. And if she becomes president,
American people
Vice
to
President
stop
Harris.
him.
Thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president,
this is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized.
Lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking a harder line. I know you say that your values have not changed. So then why have so many of your policy positions changed?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020. I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States. And in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act, which opened new leases for fracking. My position is that we have got
Yeah, look at Trump's face, bro.
to invest in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance on foreign oil. We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production in history because of an approach that recognizes that we cannot over-rely on foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class...
We don't care how you grew up. Oh my gosh. This girl want to stroll down memory lane every single chance she gets. She still didn't answer the question. My values haven't changed, but clearly your positions and your policies have. Golly.
Raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to...
Why you hating? Why you hating? If you had $400 million on a silver platter, you would have been vibing.
my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work that is related to having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting...
Oh my gosh. Guys, we are 44 minutes in. Well, I've skipped a few because they were still, rambling on her and Trump. We're 40 minutes in. She still hasn't answered one question directly. She still hasn't answered a question.
Protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My work that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based...
We don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that sound familiar? She went out.
Shut her right up.
Went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things...
Bro, this isn't the presidential debate, bro. This is top tier comedy, man.
Things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. When they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this, you talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's...
What does January 6th have to do with illegal immigrants crossing the border? You ask Trump, so Trump, what do you like to eat for dinner? Well, I like a little bit of steak, but we have a lot of millions and millions of immigrants crossing the border, bringing fentanyl. Oh my gosh, bro. Everything this kid talk about is about these immigrants.
Not doing anything. And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate, because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border, because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed, you'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you'll say, come on down to the office, let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you, because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
That.
You know that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need 2 things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I would agree. I think the reason they're super soft on immigration and they're essentially expediting, because guys, I'm an immigrant. So a lot of the immigration laws and policies I know about because I'm in the middle of it. I'm still trying to get my papers, okay? And I think that's what it is, because they are giving clear shots to citizenship. I mean, this is the fact right now. If you want to become a citizen of the United States, during the Biden administration was the best time to do it. The best time. It's to the point where one of the reasons my I-130 got denied was because of my interview with USCIS. Right now, they're not even doing interviews. So I think what they're doing is they're giving clear shots of citizenship to immigrants. You know, the immigrants can essentially vote for them because it's like, you scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. And unfortunately, at least with Florida, a lot of these immigrants come in and they just turn their backs on the Democrats. I ain't gonna lie to you, because they realize what other Americans have been screaming. But I'm going to end it here. It's a whole bunch of huffling and puffling. But I mean, you guys let me know what your thoughts is on this debate, and let me know if there's anything you feel like I missed or I misunderstood. I'm not above correction. I'm not above correction. Just tell me. I'll listen. See you guys next time on Anything Everything. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.